What am I treating lately as an acupuncturist? I figured this would be fun to do now and whenever I have time or feel like I have the bandwidth, and then look back and see what I was doing for certain conditions and how I've changed and evolved, and maybe don't even work with some of them anymore, but maybe I found the next best thing for some condition years from now, and I just think it would be cool to look back. So, we're gonna go over shoulder pain, frozen shoulder, neck tension, Achilles tendonitis, chronic unexplained health conditions, tinnitus, dizziness, and cosmetic acupuncture. So, for shoulder pain, I have been treating this person with both distal points, so overall body points, as well as local points in the shoulder joint. I use a couple different schools of thought when I needle, and there is a school of thought that is called the balance method. So basically, it's this type of acupuncture that uses points on the body that are not the point of pain. So, for instance, for this person, I would not use their actual shoulder for needling, and I would choose other points on the body that can help direct the body's white blood cells and blood and anti-inflammatory chemicals to that site. And it's working with the spinal cord to do that. That is something that people practice exclusively, and it's not to be, I guess, mixed with other modalities. However, at this point in my life, I currently am, if I feel like it's something I want to do or something I want to try, then I will mix it with other tools. So for this person, I am doing that method where I do needle other parts of the body for overall blood flow and for the balance method. And then I'm also needling directly into the shoulder joint, about 5 or 6 needles. And then I attach 2 leads to them, and I do some E-stim at high frequency, and then I leave that going for about 30 minutes. So this person has had 4 treatments and their pain is gone. They were not able to lift up their arm to change dials in the car, like to move the volume up or, those type of things, or turn on the AC. Doing that would cause pain, and then also sleeping on either side would cause pain, and now that is no longer an issue. There is still some stiffness here and there, and this person's only coming once a week, so that's to be expected as we continue the progress. But that sharp pain has left, so that's great. And then for the frozen shoulder patient, this person works at a place where they have to lift their shoulder up and they have to grab things from overhead. So it's very disruptive to not be able to do that. And I did E-stim on this person similarly to how I treated the first case I just talked about. I did use E-stim locally plus other points throughout the body. I did that the first time, and then she didn't want E-stim anymore because she said that she was really sore after that treatment. Although she was gardening a lot throughout that time, so neither of us are sure if it was the E-stim or the gardening and just, using her arm a lot. But either way, we just said, that's fine, let's just do acupuncture. So now I am doing balance method, and then I'm also doing local points as well. And she has had great range of motion changes in her arm, so she's able to lift up now without kind of using her entire body, and then also able to put her arm behind her back, which she was barely able to do. So we'll continue to see how this patient progresses, but she's newer as well, so there hasn't been too many sessions yet to see if she can move from one time a week to once every other week, once a month, with, the progress staying the same. So we'll see. The next one is neck tension. This patient has been coming to me for a bunch of months now. I honestly don't even remember the first time, but I think it was the beginning of summer, maybe. It's definitely been months, and this person had pretty debilitating neck pain. One morning randomly just happened. It had never happened that bad before. And this person took pain medication and was, using massage and all of those things to help. And they did get it down to about a 4 or 5 out of 10 themselves. But then it just would not subside from there. And it was pain. It wasn't just tension, but like actual pain at about a 4 or 5. It would kind of fluctuate between those two. And they just could not get it down to a 1 or 2 or 0. So they came in for acupuncture, and I only did balance method this time, and I did not do any local points. So it was a face-up treatment, and the neck pain went away immediately, or within the 24 hours. So the next day they felt great. And this person still continues to come now just as a stress relieving tool, and also to help keep any tension that is about to rise at bay. So I continue to see this person even though the neck pain is gone. She still has some neck tension that creeps up here and there, especially because of her job, but it's more of like a tension feeling, like if you were staring at your phone for a while and you were, looking downward, having tech neck, like that sort of like, oh, let me just roll that out, versus pain. So that's great. For Achilles tendonitis, this person had this pain in the Achilles tendon for about 4 months, and it was off and on, but kind of always there. But I guess it would like rev up sometimes and then become less of a problem at others, but it was always there at some base level. And they also had a swelling on the Achilles tendon, and it was a little bump. With this person, I did a similar thing to the rest of them, where I did body points all over, and then I also did E-stim directly into the tendon. So I put 4 or 5, sometimes 6 needles on either side of the tendon, so along the kidney channel and the UB channel, and then I attached a lead to the kidney side and to the UB side, and I was able to, use that at a high frequency for 30 minutes, similarly to the other one. So this person, immediately by the next treatment, I noticed that the bump had decreased in size, and the time after that, I also noticed it was basically gone. So that painful bump that would rub against shoes, and anytime he hit it, it would cause pain, and pretty like extreme pain. That bump went down, so that was great. And then they also had more range of motion. Sometimes it would still feel just a little bit like off kilter, the whole foot / ankle, and like they needed to favor that side. But overall, the strength and the trust in the ankle was coming back. So yeah, so far I guess this is more like when to use E-stim. But yeah, it's not necessary always to use. It can be helpful to try. Or if someone has had a pain that's very chronic and it's been going on a long time and nothing else is helping, then just blasting it with some E-stim sometimes is the one thing it needed. So it's always good to try it, and then if it helps, I feel like it just speeds up the whole process of them getting better and spacing out their appointments. So it's a win-win. Okay, now chronic unexplained health conditions. So this patient has a lot going on. There's a lot of different signs and symptoms that have not been really understood by any doctor that this person has been to. There is numbness, there is weight loss, there is inconsistent bowel movements, insomnia, jitteriness, weakness. The list is pretty extensive, and it also doesn't make a ton of sense together when you just look at it, all the symptoms. And so they came to acupuncture because they heard that it helped a friend of theirs, and they had tried everything else. They'd been to all the doctors. The doctors have no idea what it could be. There doesn't seem to be anything wrong. And this is a sign of the times. This is what we are currently going through in healthcare. When people are lost and confused about their symptoms, they don't seem to make a lot of sense when you put them all out on paper, and it can just be really overwhelming in all the ways and causes more stress. So this is something that has become more and more prevalent each and every year. It's because of the way our world operates, and even now it's just getting worse and worse, unfortunately. There's just so much stress that is put on our body and psyche and mind and all the things every single day. It is just too much sometimes, and all of these pressures come out in weird ways for different people, and it just is what it is. So I enjoy working with people like this. I find that they are open to different techniques and ideas, and it's usually a very collaborative relationship. So we are doing acupuncture and herbs for this. We are also focusing right now on trying to get parasite testing and get those results back. I know you say the word parasite, some people roll their eyes and they're like, oh my God, this is a hoax and you should be sent away. But this person had symptoms that seemed like there was something else within them that was not their own self. So they lived with two separate parties of people at two separate times of their life over a 20-year period, and both times the people that they were living with developed the same symptoms, and more notably the weight loss that this person is having. And they have since not gone back to normal, even though this patient has moved out of both places. And for the second place that this person lived and the two people that they were living with, they only developed those symptoms after this patient moved in with them, and they were not having any of those symptoms before. So, you could be thinking, oh, well, maybe it's just in the environment, it's in the house that they were living in, it's mold, whatever, but none of the symptoms had come about until this patient had moved in with them, which is kind of eerie when you think about it, and it does make it seem like there's something else that is external in the body that is not part of the body. So we're going down parasite testing route just to see what that comes up as, and it's also one of the only things that this person hasn't had done yet, because they have been to other doctors and they haven't found anything. So because this has never been explored, we're going to explore it. It's better to leave no stone unturned. So once we get those results back, we can see what's going on, but we are working with acupuncture. I'm doing fewer points on this patient in particular because they are more sensitive to the needles and their body is already under a lot of processing, so we're just keeping it a little bit more simple. And then I'm also doing herbs that are anti-pathogenic, so antibacterial and antiviral, and also help to induce some sweating. It's not like pouring sweat, but just to open up the pores a little and induce a little bit of light sweating when this person moves around. And they were not sweating at all when they first came, which is abnormal. If that's you and you never sweat even when it's hot out, that is not normal and it's not good. So please seek out help for that. I think Chinese medicine is probably one of the only modalities who would recognize that as being weird. So maybe seek out an acupuncturist, but we want this person to sweat and be able to open their pores. So that's what the herbs are doing right now, and this is very much an ongoing process. So we'll see where we land. And then on the vertigo and dizziness thing, it's more of just a pattern that I'm noticing, especially after the LA fires. I feel like a lot of people are putting down vertigo, dizziness, or tinnitus as secondary or tertiary signs and symptoms. And I find that the dizziness and slash vertigo is very easily taken care of with acupuncture, and I think it's because it's so acute to the times. I'm just attributing it to maybe the current environment, or I don't know. I think it's just a mix of a lot of stressors, and so I found that I can get it to go away after 1 or 2 times with acupuncture. And then tinnitus in general, it's better to come as soon as you have recurrent tinnitus. If you have it, here and there, like, once this month and it doesn't come back for months and months and months, and then it just, comes on for 2 seconds, like that's probably fine. It's usually just like a stress-induced thing. But if you find that your tinnitus is either getting louder, lasting for longer, or coming on more and more days in a row, definitely get it checked out now, because it tends to just progress if it's already progressing. And then it is harder to treat in general once it's become a chronic condition. So we can mitigate it with acupuncture once it's chronic, but I'm not going to promise that it will go away completely. Most of the time it's more of just diminishing the volume of it and also the pitch of it, or the amount of time that it lasts, either for the day, the week, the month, the frequency of how much it's coming on, those sort of things. But otherwise, it can be difficult to have it go away completely if it's been lasting for years. So yeah, I will leave the cosmetic acupuncture stuff up to the episode that I already recorded as a podcast. So it's somewhere within, Apple, Spotify, Substack, all the platforms, YouTube. Well, I have a full Q&A on cosmetic acupuncture, but right now I'm working more so with the 11 lines that are between the eyebrows, and we're seeing some great relaxation there, and also more superficiality with the fine lines and wrinkles. If there are any other questions about cosmetic acupuncture, you can reach out on any platform, and I'd love to answer them. But I'm gonna finish it here because all my technology is not wanting to work, and I'm honestly sick of it failing. So in order to not make this harder than it has to be, I'll just end it here, and we'll see what I come up with for the next one. Toodles!